Dumelang, my people, and welcome to yet another episode of Unboxed. My name is Mumsy, and I am with the lovely Desmond Lunga. Desmond, hi.
Lovely. I think
Yeah,
it's the first time I've ever been called lovely. But
really?
anyway, it's welcome.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And thank you to our listeners and followers and watchers.
Right.
Is there anything called watchers?
Yes.
Okay.
You just made it, and it's a thing now.
Thank you.
Great. Hi, Ruth. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, it's viewers.
It's
Viewers.
yeah. This is why we need Ruth.
English, man. Hey, no, it's viewers. Viewers. You're right. But we can call them watchers because they are watching anyway.
That's crazy. That's very true. All right. On today's episode, we have a very phenomenal woman who's here to share her story on from silence to strength. We're talking about gender-based violence and how, as women, we can empower each other, how we can do great in the spaces that we are afforded opportunities to. Welcome to the show, Sherlly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sherlly
I'm honored.
Abes.
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 Yes.
English, but
Yeah, we had a little
Sherlly
debate.
Abes.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. Can you maybe briefly introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
All right. I'm Sherlly Abes, like you've already said, an advocate for GBV and mental health. My advocacy journey started as a result of what I had gone through from my 11 years of marriage. I got married really young. I was 22 when I got married, and I was 33 when I got divorced. So, yeah, I went through stuff and abuse. The stuff is called abuse. Yes. And after I had overcome, that's when I embarked on a journey of advocacy for mental health and GBV. Yes.
Thank you for your strength, and thank you for allowing us into your space and allowing the viewers to be able to also listen to your story.
Thank you.
So the topic is from
Silence to strength.
From silence to strength.
Powerful.
Very powerful topic. And for you, on your own view, what does that say to you? From silence to strength, how does that resonate with your story?
When I was growing up, I used to watch a show on a South African TV that was called Speak Out. Remember? And for me, it says speak out. Because most time we choose to be quiet about things that hurt us, things that are detrimental to our becoming and our well-being and our welfare. Because we want to protect the perpetrators because we think we love them so dearly. And therefore, they don't have to suffer certain things, yet we are suffering. Therefore, when you say from silence to strength, when you speak, that's strength. Abusers don't like people who say, I'm being abused, I need help. They want you to keep quiet and keep on taking black cards in the morning to go and dress your wounds at Foschini, with Foschini makeup, with other shops' makeup and clothes. They want you to keep quiet. From silence to strength says to me, this is somebody who is realizing that in order to overcome this thing, I have to speak out. I have to be vocal about it. And I get a lot of criticism for speaking out. People say, but you're no longer married, so why should you talk about it now? And I say, because there's somebody who's going through exactly what I went through. Definitely. That needs to be sensitized, so that they leave. So if I keep quiet, I'm equally a perpetrator. Yep. So I need to speak in order to liberate somebody. Yes.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Thank you.
Very powerful.
Very, very powerful. And then in terms of mental health advocacy, what sort of sparked that journey? Was it during that period of transition from being silent to then transitioning to speaking up for yourself? And then what inspired?
Funny, I don't know if I should say funny. But the thing is, the abuse that I went through actually triggered depression. I had PTSD, postpartum stress disorder. Okay.
And how does that play itself
out? When I realized it was bad is when, this is sensitive. So viewers, sorry, but I have to share this. It's when I took my 4-year-old and I dangled him by the leg like that because I didn't feel any sort of attachment to him. And it was now manifesting in a very dark way. From me being silent and for 5 years coming home to get undercover and cover myself and then switching off the lights and staying in the dark, to actually now I have this young human by my side and he just acts the hell out of me. And then I started to act it out. And then I realized it's after I held him by the leg and I put him down gently. I'm like, what did I just do? That I went back to my doctor and I said to him, I think I'm having a relapse. So he put me back on Prozac to numb the madness. It actually just numbs the madness. It doesn't make any difference. So it is that said, that gave me the zeal to, talk to other people about abuse and the reality of mental health problems. Depression is just a minor thing. There are bigger things that are going out there in our minds. There's schizophrenia, there's PTSD, there's a whole lot that people go through and they don't know how to define it. They don't know. They are going through this thing, but they don't know what this thing is. Because we are this nation that does not like to speak about things that we go through. They will tell you, don't say anything. People will laugh at you. And I'd rather be laughed at when I'm helping somebody to overcome their darkness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just to shed light a bit on post-traumatic stress disorder, is that situation where you find you know how when you are maternal and nurturing, you expect to be automatically loving your child, but something might have happened there, say it causes some kind of neural malfunction in your brain, it completely somersaults everything and it changes a person, and they need treatment, and not just counseling and not just Prozac, proper treatment to get over it.
Yeah, but maybe if we can go back, if you're comfortable with really sharing like how the violence played itself.
Yeah.
So that the viewer can really understand. Because already we've gotten like to the part where it was now you're really struggling.
Yeah.
But how did we get here?
Yeah. When somebody says gender-based violence, usually what comes to mind is fists, kicks. Yeah. It's rare for people to think GBV, somebody lashing out at you and calling you names and belittling you and building you up into small things by calling you something that you're not. And by actually belittling your efforts. When you do something and they will say, oh, you see the thing?
So verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse. And it turns out the verbal becomes emotional, because this is the kind of abuse that actually taints your emotions. It alters your emotional perspectives about who you are, about things in your life. I started to hate my job. Did I mention that my 9 to 5 is teaching? No. I teach French, 9 to 5. And I started hating my job. I felt like I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be a teacher, because somebody was telling me that this is a worthless job. So I started to see my job as worthless. And sometimes we get to segregate abuse and we put it into the physical. And we forget that when you're married and your husband withholds money, it's abuse. When you're married and there is no sexual thingy major, it's abuse.
Yes,
because where are you supposed to get it? Because if I go outside, what is it called? Cheating. And
it's called what, Mamuruti?
Fornication.
Or fornication. So that's the right word. Dictionary.
Not necessarily. I just think it's hilarious.
Adultery.
It's actually adultery.
Yes.
Adultery.
Yeah. Because it's something you're doing outside the bonds of matrimony when you're married.
Yeah.
So we get to think abuse is only when somebody beats you, fists you up, and then rolls you up into a ball and casts you out and whatever. And then you see there's a whole lot of things that are happening in our lives that constitute abuse. So I want to say to people out there that abuse is more than the physical. And they would say, no, but and then I talk back.
But now tell me, how did you then now gather the strength to say enough is enough?
Oh, it took 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So you
From
were
the
married
11
for-
years of marriage,
Yeah.
it took 8 to walk away.
And how many times had you tried to walk away before you finally decided?
Only once. I only filed once, and then I said to my lawyer, stop. I think he's going to do better next time. Because we keep on making excuses. And then the first time I actually lashed back at him, I was happy, like, yeah, I stood up for myself. But then we don't realize that you are growing out of character. You are becoming somebody that you were never meant to be, right? Because this person is forcing you to talk back. You said the person who would say, why didn't man like deep? And then you speak, and they're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And we tend to, we shield abuse in so many ways. We do. We shield abuse in so many ways. We call it love. We call it love. I've had women who have said, what am I going to eat? Because he's the breadwinner. He provides everything. And you tell them to take off their shirts, their bruises. They've been there. It's been 2 years of the same thing. And they are afraid to leave because they don't have anything to do. Because they came with a suitcase. And I always say to them, but he allowed you to bring the suitcase. It's like you imposed. So the fact that they married you and they knew you didn't have anything does not give them the right to be abusive towards you.
Use that against you.
Yeah, because in most cases, that's what I'm seeing in most counseling sessions. People who would say, I can't go because what about the kids? I've got 4 kids. When I left, I had 2. Yeah, I had 2 kids. And somebody said to me one time, so my friend, tell me, how is it being divorced? Do men see you? And I said to him, is it written on my forehead that I'm divorced? He said, no, it's not that. Yeah, then they definitely see me. So it's still it's a roller coaster of happenings and emotions and stuff because it's a long haul. We are faced with a lot to do, and people who don't want to talk about it because.
Maybe let's look at also the support structure and community.
Yeah.
While you were going through
Yeah.
the challenges that you're going through, where was the family? Where was the community?
Yeah.
Did you share with somebody or you just run
And perhaps carry it on to say what you think can be done in terms of the community, what you think the community can do to show up for women who maybe are too afraid to say something.
Yeah. You're saying that?
I was saying, where was the community?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
was the
Then the family.
Did you
My
get
family
reached
was
out?
there. My family was there. My mom does marriage counseling, so she was really distraught because she was thinking, oh, how can I be counseling a lot of people in their marriages and they're working in my daughter? And I said, Mommy dearest, this is statistic number 1 of failed marriage in your watch. So you're going to have to deal with it because I'm not going back. And it was back and forth. She wasn't saying stay for the abuse. She was hoping that it will
Things will
work
get
out,
better.
you know. And community. You can't go about the community. So community is something else. You tell community what you're going through, community belittles the situations that you're going through. Community would say, are you forgetting the vows that you made? You need to stay. And community would also laugh. Because, yes, I still get that today. Yeah. People would say, you're giving us advice. Why didn't it work for you? Still get that. So community is like that. Community was not supportive. Community was on the fact that you are running away from your marriage, therefore you're a failure. That's where the community was. And by community in this instance, I'm talking even about the workplace where I was sharing my story. And then it would go out to be distorted, to be made to sound like it's something minor, trivializing the thing, and then, just making it into a joke. Dehumanizing. And therefore, I decided not to involve community in my stuff. And at home, they don't know that I'm divorced. They don't know. I never shared with anybody there. Only my family knows. When I go home for events, they'll be like, hey, this one is also married. I'm like, yeah. So they don't know that I'm divorced.
Notorious shame.
Over community, it's the very community that tells you
Yes.
it's the very community that will tell you how sanyalwa in society you are worthless only here. It's the very community that when a person survives and actually escapes the hands of GBV, that means that really return.
Yep.
So these are gender
This
stereotypes.
is the
Yes.
very community.
Because I don't think men get the same backlash.
No,
Oh no, they do.
they're heroes. They're celebrated
Not at
for
all.
living.
I
Yeah,
think-
you left that woman. Yeah, she was this. They start describing you
Hey,
with descriptions that they never made when you were married. Yes.
We're always
True.
praised for negative behavior.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that when you do something positive, no one sees you.
And she did say to the question she added, what is it that could be done by the community? You're also on the same course, Lunga,
Yes.
of sensitizing people about GB. I know you are doing men and boys, which is very important because usually that's where we find the perpetrators. But I always say to people that there are these perpetrators who are hiding. Women. They're hiding in plain sight.
Stereotypes.
Yes. They are hiding in plain sight. And we women would actually encourage each other to stay. Tell them, stay. You're going to buy us wine. You're going to buy us this thing. So we need to actually have more meetings, more sessions where we sit down with the older generation, because I think there's this generational gap where our grandparents, our mothers still think it's okay to stay to work things out when you're being abused. You can't go and stay separated and you stay in a hotel or at your mother's house while you are figuring things out. You have to do it within the home, because when you live, like let the man turn. Yeah. So we have a whole lot of work to do. We have to sensitize people. We have to have meetings with men and women. When, like today, I was emceeing at a wedding, and then because I get it died, not
ring is
anymore.
not on. Yeah.
So I couldn't go and la. So I had to come back to GC, and I was going out with my leg between my tail between them legs, right? Like a doggy dog coming back to
Why?
GC.
Why?
Because they were looking at me like, where's your ring? Why are you not this? Why are you not that? I'm like, oh,
I think,
okay.
Like MC.
And I said, oh, guys, I have
No, but
work.
Ola, they take it very serious.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I said, guys, I have work. I have to go. My employer is calling. And I thought that's my employer. My employer is calling. I just had to make it sound like,
Yeah.
because we have not come to that point yet where we are comfortable to talk about these issues. And when you're emceeing, you can say anything, right?
Yep.
And then you make a bad joke about it. To them, it's a bad joke. When you're trying to make things light, and then it becomes a bad joke, and they look at you like you're crazy. So we still have to bridge that gap. We still have to come and sit down and talk about gender biases. We still have to come and sit and talk about gender roles, defining them, what they mean, and stuff like gender equality. What is it? Because we are where we are right now because of lack of understanding. Yes. They still don't understand us.
Maybe there's somebody who's going through GBV
Yeah.
as we speak and they're watching this podcast. What would be your motivating statement to them? Where can they get help? What should they do? How can they get out of the situation?
Yeah.
So I started a hashtag in 2020 during COVID because I would, every day in the news, there was something about GBV. Others were happening right at the women's shelter. It was everywhere. And then I looked at the statistics that are always delivered to these international organizations, and I realized it has actually grown. And there was a an HOD in some school in Gaborone who during COVID got murdered by the boyfriend, and he was a younger guy. And I realized people are staying for things that really they shouldn't be staying for. So I started a hashtag, leave to leave, as in go so that you may leave. I started a hashtag, live to leave. And I say to people though that I don't advocate for divorce, but I advocate for life. And my advocacy for life is saying, take care of your mental health and run away from gender-based violence, because it takes so many forms. And sometimes it's not easy. It's bleak to actually differentiate between love and abuse. And, you know, I in the organization, I work with a whole lot of professionals, doctors and the like. So if a case comes and I can't handle it, I refer it to either one. I should start referring to men and boys. Yes.
Especially the men, because I always feel that there isn't anyone to help men, because once you use violence or once you start being a perpetrator, you can change partners, but you will never change
The behavior.
until you actually get help. So it's important for men to actually get help.
It's like treating a wound at the top. Excuse me. So you get a cut. It's deep. It needs 7 stitches. What should you put a band-aid? So when you move from one partner to another, you're simply putting a band-aid because you're not addressing the issue. The issue is this cut that needs to be cleaned out and then sewn, right? And then now we can put the band-aid and then we wash it here. But most of us don't want to heal. Our healing is from moving from partner to partner before we can fully recover from the traumas that we have suffered. And therefore, we carry the same traumas forward into other relationships. And then we expect... I have a situation where somebody got married and the husband was going through a whole lot of stuff that he suffered as a young boy. And he said to her, I thought I found a mother in you. He wants to abuse her under the pretext that you are now mothering me. You are my psychologist. I'm telling you all these things so that you can advise me on what to do. He never healed. Though he was going through counseling and stuff, but you know that people can go through counseling, but you're going to have to accept first that there is a problem. Because you can go and spend, I went through counseling for like 3-4 months. And then the 4th month I was like, Miss Counselor, I think I'm wasting your time. Because everything you're telling me to do, I tell people to do. So I know what to do. And she said, oh, that's a rude awakening. Somebody's back to life. So I said to her, I think I'm going to do everything that we've been saying, everything that I've read, everything I've studied, I'm going to do it now. So if somebody doesn't get to the realization that they are in trouble and then accept that there is trouble, then it's going to be hard to help them to heal. Because you can't lead them to healing unless they realize that there is a need to heal. And we always say, hurt people hurt people. It is actually true. It's not just a saying. And until we heal the hurt, we are going to keep on. You know, people get married 3-4 times nowadays, and they still remain the same in those marriages. You know why? Because they are still living through that.
They haven't dealt with the anger.
Powerful.
Can I just add something? You brought up a very interesting perspective of the verbal abuse. Hore. What does policy say? I mean, when I go right now and report my partner for beating me up, there are the bruises, there are the physical bruises that they can see. But now here we have a whole squadron of women suffering at the hands of narcissistic abusers who cannot quantify the pain and whatever they go through. How do we get retribution in that regard? As a society, how do we lobby? Do we draw up some kind of document that can guide on how to actually define the impacts of verbal abuse?
I think you'd agree with me. We have policies that really are one thing. Like when we talk about abuse in our country, usually we are referring to physical abuse, right? And then you remember that act that was renewed that was talking about sexual harassment, winking, what. We come up with such policies, nice things, and then we shelve them. And then you go to the police and you report, and then they laugh because you're not bringing a bruise. But you know how detrimental this bruise is when you're bruised up here and how long it lasts. Because this one, yes, you can take salt and then put your what's called yeah, and then the next day it would have disappeared. But there's this one that gets created here, and sometimes you'd think it's just a small pebble of a thing, and then you realize it was actually a crater that was created in your soul. That every time you try to put something, just passes through. It just passes through. Nothing gets held in, and therefore we need to actually activate the policies because they are there.
Yes. I wanted to say that we've spoken a lot about how community has been a big part of the problem mostly, but I also do want us to maybe for women who are alone and you really need some level of community or family or just a place to go to. I know those places exist. I know your network exists for such courses. I also want us to highlight what the community is doing, what is available to women who are, one, financially abused, so they can't afford legal services, and women who are mentally abused. What services has the community maybe provided for them as free maybe free services for mental health support and so forth. Yeah,
there's quite a number of organizations that most of them are actually on Ticket Study international organizations. They're being sponsored and therefore they offer help for free. It's already free, but it has been
subsidized.
Yes. And we have Women's Shelter, we have the gender department. They have an office at CBD. They have an office at CBD. Yes. And then we have Borrelunga as well. Yeah, we have men's sector. We have Lifeline Botswana. There's quite a few organizations that actually do offer actually a lot, not a few.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
We also have the social workers in the different
districts.
Speaking of which, I actually almost got murdered by somebody last time when I said the problem with us is
married.
You mean
married?
Theoretically or
figuratively?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When we were discussing this during a high tea, and I said during the panel discussion, I said the problem is you want high quality help that costs a whole lot of money that you don't even have at that moment. I said to them, I went for counseling with Caravan in Zamarine. That's where I went. And for me, it wasn't taking anything out of me. It was actually giving me a sense of fighting. So we tend to package the kind of help that we want. Somebody will say, no, I can't go to that organization. I can go there because that one, I want somebody who takes medical aid. I want this, I want that. I say to them, then you're not suffering. If you're still choosing what kind of help you need and you really know you need help, then stay in the one.
Guys, a big shout out to the Princess Marina Psychiatry.
They're doing such a good job.
They are amazing. I know a lot of people they've helped and
So I've heard they do amazing work there.
They do.
So we don't have much time. Maybe in closing, tell us a bit about your organization and let the viewers know where they can be able to get a hold of you.
Yes.
And your book.
And your book.
Oh, you got
know about that?
Yes.
How did you research?
How did you find out?
I know. I know.
Yes. So, which one do I start with?
Start with the book.
Okay,
and then the organization.
I wrote this book in 2020.
Please say its title because it's very interesting.
Yeah, so that people can be able to.
I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm buttering you guys up. So I wrote this book in 2020. after a suicide attempt. A failed one, luckily. And I would say it's God who put that in my mind that I'm not yet done with you. I need you to fight this cause, right? Gender-based violence and mental health. So I wrote a book, 1 week writing, and then I waited a week for it to come out. And the book is titled Just Who Do You Think You Are? And this book always stirs up people because they're like, what is this guile? Why are you saying this to us? I'm like, you need to read the contents of the book to understand. Because this is introspective. It's saying in your social circles, who are you? In your marriage, who are you? In the society, who are you?
Wow.
Yes. It's not saying this, this, just who do you think you are? You're assessing people and stuff like that. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's the one that calls you to think about who you are, your steps, how to survive as an individual in a group.
Nice.
Because it's very important.
Yeah.
We are too independent. What is it? Not independent. More dependent. See, let's go.
Codependent.
Yes. That we forget that we have the ability to survive with our skills, even when everybody else is doing their own thing. Such that when somebody focuses on something else and it's not you, you become depressed. So I was sharing my story under 11 subtitles.
Nice.
Yes, and I was saying in your marriage, in your finances, in your social circles, because usually in families we're like, oh, I'm the daughter's younger sister. Because I want to be known by my brother. I don't have my own identity. And there's a title that I love in that book. It says, transformation is in the mind.
True.
And before anything else physical happens that shows you have transformed, we need to see the transformation here. And then same year, I started the Sherlly Abes network. I made it into a network because I realized I don't have all the qualifications to help everybody. And therefore, I went into partnerships with companies. I started the Sherlly Abes network because I realized there are people, I realized what I was lacking. And then there are people who are suffering in silence. And some are speaking out, but nobody's listening. And therefore, if I have this organization that reaches out to everyone, and I always say to people, I am not an advocate for men, women, children. I am an advocate for humanity as a whole. When a man comes to the Sherlly Abes network and says, I have a problem, I listen. I would not close the doors because it's a man. When it's a boy child, still. A girl child, still. They get the same treatment. And I have partnered with psychiatrists, psychologists who are independent, where I see her, I can't, this is beyond me. I take it to the higher offices to deal with it. So that's why it's a network. Yes.
Nice. So where can we get the book? Where is it being sold? Where can people get it? And
do you guys realize how difficult is it to get books into bookstores in this country?
I know.
So yeah, it's always in the boot of my car or somewhere.
So people should get in touch. How do they get in touch with you? How can they get it?
I always carry it in my bag. I carry a backpack.
Yeah.
The books in it.
Okay.
So that when I meet somebody and they say I need a book, I'm a walking library.
So what's the
and
email
bookstore.
or how can they get to order
So
it?
they can call. My business line is 7386-5316, 7386-5316.
7386-5316.
Or they can drop an email at Sherlly SherLlyRas @gmail.com. Actually, our website is still under construction in the Sherlly Abes network. So by the time everything is set, then they will be sending it to Sherlly Abes @Sherlly Network.
Oh, perfect. Great.
And your Twitter handle, or X, it's now called X, your X handle. And your Facebook handle,
No, I'm
Instagram,
very
are you on
lousy with
Instagram?
social media.
Oh,
But I have, it's not bad. I have Facebook.
Okay.
I have
That's
the
a
official. I
start.
have the page and the profile.
so
Okay.
what's the
Yes.
handle?
They're both Sherlly Abes.
Sherlly
So
Abes.
one is with the profile. The picture is a book.
Mhm.
That's the one for the
And the
business.
book title once
Is it
again?
the book?
The book.
Yes.
Yes.
Just who do you think you
Just
are?
who do you think you are?
Just
Great.
who
Yes.
do you think you
Yes.
are? So
It
there we
sounds
go.
like a song.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
And
So-
then in terms of your offices, your physical offices, where are they located?
Anywhere. We go out to people.
Okay.
Yes.
So if someone
We go
wanted
out.
to,
Yes, we go out to people. We really go out. Because
so they would come to you.
they
Yeah.
would come to you.
Yeah.
So
Even
you
for
don't necessarily
one-on-ones,
have
we go
physical.
out.
You don't necessarily
offices.
have a
No.
physical.
We don't
Okay.
have a physical. It's a briefcase. It's in the briefcase.
No, what is important
like
is
that.
helping
It's just-
people.
yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, and I would want to encourage people out there to say,
Yeah.
you know, everyone needs to do something
Yeah.
to be able to help our
True.
communities.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need a structure
Yeah.
to do that. You have to be where the people are,
Mhm.
and that's where work is needed.
Yes.
So thank you very much,
you.
Sherlly.
Thank you so much for
You're
sharing your
amazing.
story. I know it must not have been easy, but
Oh no, it's easy nowadays.
it's easy now.
Yeah. It's like water down a camel's back. It's slow.
Ah,
Yeah.
you've said some very inspirational things. We really appreciate your insight on what needs to be done in terms of community, what needs to be done in terms of changing our mindsets. Our president is very big on
Mindset change.
changing, and I think,
I long started that in 2020.
Yeah, there we go.
and there you go. And I think it's very formidable that you've come this far, and that you're willing to do so much for women in the community and for men and children in the community. Because, like you said, humanity over gender specifics. Yeah. So, any last words, Des, as
Oh.
we wrap up?
Last words from her. I'm amazed at the work that you do.
Thank you.
Please continue. May the good Lord bless you
Thank you so
and
much.
give you strength, and may you continue to reach even the hard to reach areas.
Amen.
Amen.
Ruth.
Sherlly, is there anything you would like to say to the viewers at home?
This is not an individual's task.
Yeah.
We all need to have our hands to the wheel. Everybody needs to do something. Those who are quiet, let's speak out, because the moment you keep quiet, you are also a perpetrator. If you watch somebody kill somebody or steal and then you keep quiet, they call it an accessory to murder or to whatever. So you become an accessory to gender-based violence. Because when you play the I'm going to mind my own business. We can't mind our own business. So let us just all get engaged in this thing and make sure that we end gender-based violence by 2026.
Right. Ruth,
Yes, Mumsy.
would you like?
Thank you so much, Miss Sherlly. Very inspirational, very insightful. We hope we like to see people helping people help themselves. Very commendable.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Sherlly. This has been a very enlightening, very touching, very personal conversation for a lot of us. And the seriousness of it should not be taken lightly. I want to urge to the viewers at home to say that teach one to save one. And that as we move towards World AIDS Day, the theme for this year is Let Communities Lead. And I would really like to encourage us to hold hands in the fight against GBV. Until next time, goodbye.